Hello there, the good person of Tune-Towne at your service. So, I actually want to do interviews on my channel at one point in the future, but I don't really have the bigness yet for that. So instead I'm going to settle with doing a personal video where this video will be focused on questions I have for certain people about films I like, and or be it trivia or canon stuff. They'll be in the timestamps for you to show, and with that said, let's get started with my first question. My first question is to director Christopher Nolan, who of course directed the Dark Knight films, Oppenheimer, The Prestige, etc, etc. I've heard fan theories on the internet that explain, of course, Heath Ledger passed away after the events of The Dark Knight, and so you decided to retire the Joker, not even mention him out of respect for him. But I've always wondered, an easy way to do it would be if, in between the events of The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, the Joker was given the death penalty, you know? It's a fan theory online, but I was wondering, would that be the case in canon? The second question is to Bob Gale, creator of the Back to the Future trilogy. Of course, this ties actually nicely with my video on Back to the Future 4, actually. Check that out if you will, leave it in the description. You've said in many interviews over the years that you never planned for a fourth film. You had a few fanciful conversations, but you know what? Let me just read this, you know? Robert Zemeckis and I never planned a Back to the Future 4, so there was never any pre-production to be involved with. In the mid-90s, Bob Z and I had one or two fanciful conversations about it, but once Michael J. Fox revealed he had Parkinson's disease, we never discussed it again. Nobody else could fill that role, and to make a Back to the Future film without him would just be, well, wrong. The question, Mr. Gale, is what were those fanciful conversations about? What ideas did you have for a fourth film that you would have liked to do? My third question is to Daniel Radcliffe, Rupert Grint, Emma Watson, Bonnie Wright, and all the Harry Potter kids. There has been rumors that you were going to do a Cursed Child film when it was asked, but you turned it down because you didn't want to support JK and what she's become, what a horrible person she is now. So that's why they made the TV show. Is that true, or is it just rumors? And the next question goes to Sylvester Stallone. I do remember you had planned to bring Clubber Lang back for Rocky Balboa in 2006, but Clubber would have been redeemed and he would have become a born-again Christian after, like how Mr. T did in real life. But I have heard rumors that you also plan to bring back Ivan Drago as well. And the plan allegedly was Rocky would have visited Drago in the hospital where he would have been dying of AIDS because of the steroid abuse he did. And Rocky would have said to Drago's nurse what Drago said to him all those years ago at Apollo's death. If he dies, he dies. Is that true, or is that just made up? Although on a personal note, I am very happy that we brought Drago back for the Creed films. I think that's a fine version. My next question goes to the Awdry family. I know I'm a big Thomas fan. I love Thomas. I'm on Sir Island forums. I'm going to a Thomas convention next year. But in the late 80s, early 90s, Thomas the Tank Engine first came to America as segments in a sitcom called Shining Time Station. And I've always wanted to know, what did Wilbert think of it? I mean, I don't know for sure. I mean, his past opinions indicates he wouldn't have liked it, including when they made the Thomas TV show pilot in 1976, and Wilbert said to Andrew Lloyd Webber, who was developing it before he became a theatre man, Wilbert said to him, once the Americans get a hold of it, the whole series will immediately be vulgarized and ruined. And of course, when the show, in season 3 of the show in 1991, a lot of the changes Wilbert didn't like were made so the show could work better on Shining Time Station with American audiences. So, of course, I'm not going to put my words into a deceased man's mouth whom I never met, but I always wanted to know, did he like it or not? This next question goes out to Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson and Eon Productions, home of the James Bond films. I'm a big, you probably know that Bernard Lee played M, James Bond's boss, Sir Miles Mesavie, in the first 11 films. And he was going to come back for Your Eyes Only, but his health was dying, but he unfortunately passed away of stomach cancer. And so they wrote M out for that film, and then in the next film, Octopussy, there's a new actor playing M, Robert Brown, who of course played a different character in The Spy Who Loved Me, Admiral Hargreaves. It's been a common fan debate for years over whether or not Robert Brown's M is Hargreaves or a recast Sir Miles. I myself was in the former category for many years, but then I realized how much of the Bond series has different actors play different roles all the time. So now I'm firmly in the camp of him being a recast Sir Miles. But I'd like you to put it to bed once and for all, Barbara. Is Robert Brown's M Sir Miles Mesavie or Admiral Hargreaves? The next question goes to J.J. Abrams, and it's a Mission Impossible question. JJ, I know you wanted to bring back Martin Landau as Roland Hand for Mission Impossible 3, and you expressed interest in bringing back both Peter Graves as Jim Phelps and Leonard Nimoy as the Great Paris if you'd done Mission Impossible 4. But I've always wanted to know, what would you have planned? What would your role for what would Roland's role have been if he'd come back for Mission Impossible 3, and how would you have retconned Jim Phelps' betrayal in the first movie? And did you ever ask Leonard Nimoy? And if so, why didn't it come to fruition? And what did you plan? And this next question goes out to Chris Columbus and Roger Gosnell. I know you said in the 2006 DVD commentary for Home Alone that you planned to make Home Alone 2 and 3 back to back, but I know that. But what I don't know that I've heard is that you also considered both doing Home Alone 3 but with Kevin as a teenager, and then when he turned it down, doing Home Alone 3 but with Fuller as the main character and Harry and Marv targeting him after Uncle Frank leaves him home alone. Are those true? My final question goes out to Michael Goff, who was the voice of both Tim Scam in Totally Spies and Gopher in Winnie the Pooh. Gopher was my favorite character in the series, and he still is. And I noticed when I was a kid that he was out of the franchise for a long time, since the 90s. I've always wanted to know, why was that the case? And will he be added in again soon? I know they brought him back in the Kingdom Hearts 3 video game in 2019, so why was he left out? And that's it. That's all the questions. I do want to interview some of these people one day and ask those questions again if they don't answer, but they don't have to if they don't want to, so let me know what you think. You like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir.